we have planned the panelists in such a way that we have representative across. So we have industry representative, we have academia representative, we have a representation from NAAC, and then also we have a representation from the government, policy maker. Very soon, Pradeep P will be joining us, so that we get this holistic perspective on being ready for NEP and its implementation. I'm sure you all have had your own set of questions. Welcome to the panel of the experts here. Thank you so much. This panel's primary objective is to address the concerns of the audience, who are here with multiple expectations and their experiences, ranging from student to faculty to administrators. So the panel, I would like to open up with 10 critical challenges, but we'll pick few of them when I raise the first question in the NEP, specifically in higher education. The first challenge as NEP envisages is that our higher education system is severely fragmented, right? From 49,000 colleges to 1,049 universities, there are a lot of fragmentation within the system. Second, we have very less emphasis on development of cognitive skills and learning outcomes in higher education. That's a very important component. The third and important aspect is rigid separation across disciplines, right? In two contexts. One is our faculty or schools within the university have also rigidity across disciplines, like science, social science, and so on and so forth. Further, even among students, when they enter commerce, when they enter arts, when they enter science, they tend to get fixed to those disciplines. So we have some recommendations for that in terms of multiple entry and exit, but this is something that we would like to know. Fourth is also the issue of accessibility, which is one thing that we have discussed just before the lunch. I'm sure Dr. Suparna has also shared her insights on how we need to bridge these gaps. Fifth is limited teacher and institutional autonomy. And this I would request Professor Bhanumurthy later on to highlight, because he is an experimenting body by himself in his own institution that he has done innovative thinking on the teacher autonomy. Sixth is inadequate mechanism for merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leader. Seventh, very important again, where all of us have been discussing, is lesser emphasis on research in most higher education institutions, particularly colleges. Right? Because we are also expecting the colleges to evolve as universities going forward, but research is a very important component of university. And third last thing is suboptimal governance and leadership across higher education institutions. In fact, Philip Artbach, one of those well-known scholars working on higher education in India, says we have islands of excellence in the sea of mediocrity. Right? So leadership and governance is very critical to convert these islands of excellence into not sea of mediocrity but into excellence. That is very critical. Then at a macro level, we have two more challenges, and then I'll request you to come in. The ineffective regulatory mechanism. Right? So there are regulatory bodies, we have 16, 17 of them. I can go breathless in naming them. That is from Nursing Council of India, Pharmacy Council of India, Bar Council of India, blah, blah. So we have such situation, complex situation out there. And we have at a micro level institutions aspiring to evolve. That is also this challenge. And lastly is most of us who are here are also representing affiliating university system. So even if you want to innovate, even if you have to enable, we need to have that ecosystem addressed. So with this, I would first request Professor Bhanumurthy sir to open up initial remarks and thoughts, either in this context or otherwise, but I'm sure we are talking the same line. So over to you for a minute or so, sir.
Thank you, Chetan. First of all, let me thank organizers for inviting me to this discussion. And as you rightly pointed out, we are experimenting with a new university. Maybe slightly different from what NEP emphasizes. We have a single subject university right now. University meant for only economics. And it's certainly a challenge to implement NEP with a single subject university like us. But at the same time, I would like to tell you that Karnataka State Higher Education Council has been very supportive of our efforts, implementing NEP in the state and also at university like ours. And I'm glad to inform all of you that ours is the first university to complete first year of NEP. news because I would like to do it very, yeah. So we have completed first year in the month of May. So we were the first to complete first semester and also first year by implementing the NEP, and all thanks to Karnataka State Higher Education Council for it. And as I said, since it's a single subject university, you must be wondering how we implement it. I do feel that NEP is extremely a flexible document. I don't think you can get a flexible document like this from any governments, leave alone central government, maybe state governments also. So I think it's an important document for all of us, and there's a lot of flexibility. In fact, what we are working right now is a rigid system. Okay? So in NAP actually you get much more flexibility, and I think the flexibility is more for students. And the rigidity we feel only among the teachers. So I think that attitude needs to be changed. You know, in fact, as we are a single subject university, we have introduced non-economic subjects, and we are also trying to look at MOOCs. And when we talk about other issues like accessibility and all those things, some of the challenges that we are facing right now is that if you want to introduce MOOCs right now, we don't have a graded kind of MOOCs available. And there are so many things on the website, and there are so many ideas. Yeah, so I mean, you allow that NEP allows up to 40% credits can be done through MOOCs, right? And right now we are facing a problem in terms of which one we should do, right? So there are plenty. I think it's 5 or something. So now the students are asking, we want to do some MOOCs online and all those things, but we are not able to tell them which MOOCs we should do. So I think that's something that unfortunately, what happened is UGC has given this, but they still have to do so many things before universities can really implement. You talked about ABC, right? Now, already we have 7 applications coming from different universities. They want to shift to my university. Now, there is no guidelines, right? So, in fact, we have submitted to higher education policy. What do you need to do with this, right? So, there is no grading system that's happening there. And in terms of major challenge, I think that's going to happen with the NEP for the existing universities and the colleges is the capacity building. Okay? Now, capacity building is something that will take a long time. It's a work in progress all the time. So I think the capacity building issues is something that UGC has to really address. And otherwise, I think people who are implementing at colleges level, there is certainly be kind of limitation when you want to implement. So one small point I just like to highlight here. NEP also gives option for going for different types of universities, right? I mean, now again, we want to become a research university, right? We don't want to just become a university where we give degrees and go. And it's going to be an important aspect for Karnataka and also for India, where we have one single university dedicated only for economics. And it's a new experiment that we are having. And we want to see that as a research university. And again, we are still waiting for guidelines. And again, there, those from outside Karnataka, we must look at the way Karnataka State Higher Education Council works. In fact, even before we face the problem, they will be solution to us. So, but this is one area where we are looking for. We want to become like a research university. And then the government is looking for giving autonomy to all the universities, and there is already a draft which is available. We already made one of the universities as autonomous, UEC already been made as an autonomous institution with the chairperson and the board. I'm sure all of you understand what I'm saying. When you have a board and when you are working with the director of the government, it makes a lot of difference, right? So you would like to become like an IIT or IIM stuff, and for that, actually pushing this whole autonomy bill, which is part of the NEP. So I think there's a lot of things happening in Karnataka. It's going to be very challenging, but at the same time, I can tell you that NEP is the most flexible document that we ever have in the education.
I think that takes me to the Rabindra, because in the Delhi, now we are talking about reforms in higher education, autonomy that what are your initial remarks
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. Especially on NEP, we look at the NEP, and I come with 30 years of industry experience, more than 100 customers worldwide I have worked, across the industry and across the domain I have worked. The first my remark on NEP is that this is going to bring the decade of educational transformation in our country. At least many times I have read this NEP, and this is going to, for each and every students, it's all types of grooming and development for the students is going to happen. Any student has got any passion of building and working in some specific area, he can pursue that. NEP allows them to really work and drive their passion by selecting the subject and courses he wanted to learn about. This is the third point. Fourth point is very important, is that when we read the NEP, the document, around 70 times multidisciplinary word has come. 70 times multidisciplinary is part. So we from the industry is now the way we are going, that the way technology is evolving, is going to be the product development or the services engineering product development, it has to have the multidisciplinary. So each branches of the ecosystem in higher education to come together and contribute. Other aspect is that critical thinking. Critical thinking is very, very important. NEP talks about that. It's very, very important. 6th point is the experiential learning. Learning by doing themselves. That's what we always feel is a kind of gap, which we look at when the NEP talk about. And its stress is given on this NEP to that, how we can really enhance that experiential learning. And all put together, it's going to bridge the gap which have been for the decades between the academia and the industry is going to break. And the motivational comes the multiple entry and exit. That's what we look at. As and when they want to really upskills their grade, etc., it's very, very important. So this is the quickly, our doctor is my quickly the highlights. The way we progress, I have got many more points to say.
I think just before we had the last session for lunch, we talked about NAAC and also reimagining NAAC. And the last two pointers that we heard, NEP now talks about reimagining higher education systems in terms of teaching intensive higher education solutions, significant research, research intensive teaching, and then detailed performance. And we have a very good case in point as we have the how in this context do you see accreditation for working, and what are the issues that you can provide in this
Thanks, Dr. Chetan. I just was contemplating two things when talking about implementation and road ahead related to your question. One is how the degree is given, whether 4-year, 3-year, plus 1-year period, plus 4 plus 1 plus 1, 1-year PG, 2-year PG. As far as accreditation is concerned, it is less impact because we do institutional accreditation, institutional review. Engineering programs, engineering colleges are we are doing, medical colleges, medical universities. So that will have less impact to the process. Why I say so? Point number one, across the country, the existing degree, what we call the diploma or degree given, it varies from state to state, university to university. When you come to Punjab, they give you BSc Medical, BSc Non-Medical. In some universities in Maharashtra, they give you BA. You come to Karnataka, we have triple, earlier we had a triple major, Andhra, Telangana double major. Come to South, it's a single major. BSc in mathematics, that how the degree is given to a student matters a lot. This is the fundamentals. First step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step, sixth step. So now we are putting into 7th and 8th with 120 and 140 credits and about 25. Imagining a normal BSc mathematics with a honors, 25 credits for 6 papers with practicals, with the LTP model or the regular, that's why engineering model. We have an ordinary model of only theory and practicals for history, archaeology. The second question, why it comes so, is of the multiple exit and multiple entry, ABC and NAAC. A history archaeology student suddenly got interested due to various reasons of parental or societal or whatever. He wants to do a small course on dental mechanics, where he has to go to a dental college. It's an arts and science college at a government first grade college in Kanapura. So when you talk about choice-based credit system with multiple entry and multiple exit, she had to look at the framework of the expertise of the faculty available. In the normal sense, even electives, minor and major was available. The university will offer many courses. So this is a very important context for accreditation. So for institutional accreditation, in light of NEP implementation road ahead, what is essential is the existing process of input, processes, output, outcome, all an integrated model of NAAC will have to change, which we are already, think tank committees are working. Our website, there is a white paper by the chairman of NAAC, which how to go about on an outcome-based assessment based on outcome-based education. So whether they will have the same revised accreditation framework or entirely it has to be changed. For example, well-being and wellness. How you want a course or a certificate, diploma, pre-diploma, advanced diploma, postgraduate diploma, or one course or a non-audit course or a credit course. So based on the workability implementation, we have to, the parameters, the criteria will take us course. Thank you, Dr. Chetan.
So, Dr. Sir, I think Professor mentioned that what industry wants, critical thinking and its strategy, inspiration. As an academician, as a leader of an academic institution, are we able to take to those needs to industry? If yes, how are we, what are the challenges?
My experience is slightly better. The first batch went out of my university and we got 95% placement. So it's very difficult to get economic students jobs in Bangalore, right? Other than 90 and 90. So in terms of linking with industry, again, what we did was we have, in fact, Karnataka government said that we should have a NEP implementation committee at the university level. And they did a task force and they did insist that there should be 2 people from the industry. And in fact, council doesn't leave you there. They'll keep asking when did the meeting happen, what are the minutes. So in a way we are proactive in terms of, it's not just task force for namesake, but I think we do have a very active task force and we have kept people who are relevant for our.
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but we would have any suggestions for affiliating colleges and autonomous colleges to ensure that we are able to cater to the needs of industry. One is your experience and your success based on the experiment. So any suggestions that you have for colleges and institutions?
I think that's the whole purpose of the task force, right? I mean, the members of the task force will come and tell you what exactly they are looking from the colleges, right? So the information has to flow both the sides. So I think if the colleges are serious, and again, nothing with NEP and NEC, I think colleges have to take up in a proactive manner. University is proactive compared to many other colleges. So I think government colleges also have to change the way they are doing right now. And they should think that under the NEP, even from the first year, students should be in a position to be employed. And I think, can I just add to what the regulatory thing that...
Sir, can I come back if you don't mind, sir? Because I want to close this point with, again, Pradeep Sir coming in. Because on the other side, so this is what is happening now. But from the other side, what are the barriers do you face as an industry representative to get industry-ready graduates or employability component that you look for? Because you have been engaged with institutions. Do you see any challenges, barriers there, and how to overcome those?
Yeah, thank you. It's a very relevant, nice question. In the last couple of months, in fact, last 1 or 2 years, with my own time, I have been interacting with a lot of institute. In fact, September month, this month, probably the highest number of institute I have touched upon in the weekends, etc. I have interacted with close to 2,000 plus students, around close to 10 institute, saw their infrastructure, and over the last couple of years. I have got a couple of suggestions to really share what I look at from the industry perspective. And this is the right time where I can share probably you are building your courses, you are configuring and building the syllabus and the contents. And initially you talked about also the leadership, etc. So there are two aspects to it. One is that leadership and personality development. I'm just touching upon this. This comes when we create an environment of games, in sports, and the cultural related, what heritages, etc. becomes. Because this gives us a kind of energy, passion, never give up, team building, and leadership. This comes from here. So we need to create the system and mechanism inside the campus in such a way these aspects are addressed. Personality and all-time improvement. Second aspect I'm going to talk about is the 3-pillar transformation, which I thought. One, we say that I'm just talking the 3 pillar. Let's assume that 3 circles are there. One circle is the domain where we are teaching, giving input to our student on engineering subject, domain subject, fundamental of engineering, or we call the knowledge base or subject matter. This is one circle. Second circle we are talking about is the enabler. How we can do the faster to design a product, how we can do the faster usage of digital technology to enable this domain. So between these and these two has to be an overlapping. The more we overlap, more we are closer. Because we are living in an age of digital, right? And we need to use the power of digital. If you look at it, any industry, we do all work in first digital environment and digitally designed, proved, include the manufacturing, then we go for the physical. So this will release me the faster time to market or the design or services, whatever we talk about. So when we have got the domain, one circle, second is digital technology, digital engineering technology, which is applicable to across the branches, like software we can use to enable. Because look at earlier, in an automotive, launching a product used to take 3 years, 4 years. Now we are coming up with a product in 7 months, 8 months. Domain remains the same, but we are pushing digital environment. So here my one point is that how we can make students to collaborate with the domain, engineering knowledge and pushing the digital to innovate. Third circle I am bringing is, we are all talking about the Industry 4.0. I call this as a cherry. If the cake is there, we put the cherry, I become tasty and I become happy. So Industry 4.0, it is another circle which gives you the operational excellence. We talk about AI or data science or blockchain or additive manufacturing or what all collaborative work. So this is the third circle, which is enabler. We can live without this, but now we can't live it because it will improve my productivity, excellence, business excellence, top line, bottom line in industry. So three circle, combination of these three circle, more and more we overlap, we will be kind of creating the pillar of transformation. So for around this, we can bring the framework, it will really help the industry and the all-time.
So this is your aspiration, and you are saying it is yet to happen.
No, it's happening.
Happening.
It's happening,
Yes.
but more and more we can.
More and more, yes.
So because the right stage where we are designing the process in this framework, we can build.
Yes,
What
yes.
is it?
Thank you, thank you. I think I will now take a pause on the industry academia component and come back to accreditation because it's a very critical component that we all are also coming to. Sir, you mentioned about input, process, output and outcome. So in NEP, we also are seeing a shift from input centric to outcome and output centric in terms of accreditation, in terms of student outcomes, etc. So in this transition, how we see that NAAC as a body and as methodology of NAAC is evolving. And so you have also a point maybe after this you can share or you want to add now. So then come back. So this part is how we do response that they are going towards more outcome and output. How do you see that institutions are ready for that? Because we are used to the input process component till date. And NEP is now asking us to move towards outcome and output. So what do you see as being part of the accreditation body? How institutions should respond to that change? What are your suggestions?
What happens is when you make a shift, Kurt says when you want to understand something, quote, change. Try to change. That was Kurt very famous statement. So if you want to understand, you have to change it. So now we have to follow the NEP model from an integrated model only for the outcome-based assessment. That takes us to the basic definition of accreditation. Is accreditation an affiliation or a license to operate? The word accreditation across 196 almost plus one recognized UN recognized countries across the globe, plus 6 plus 1 unrecognized, differs from country to country. We have a very famous CHIA model of the United States of America, European model. So the fundamentals is very important. So we do accreditation that takes us to a lead of binary accreditation. That means accredited, not accredited. We started with that in 1998. People who are sitting here may be aware, some of the senior people, middle level, junior people, we have transformed or we have changed our grading pattern into 6 to 7 times. Now also we can just, not for the sake of argument, we can say accredited, not accredited. If we are accredited, we are giving C, C plus, B plus, B plus, and different grading system from 0.0 to 4.0. So once the outcome is trying to get utilized by different stakeholders or agencies, including the different governments, state governments, then there should be a huge shift, because practically more countries in the world, they say this is where you stand, recommendation, you are accredited. This is where you stand, you are not accredited. Some countries use provisional accreditation, conditional accreditation. Here, once you link accreditation with many outcomes, Institute of Eminence, UPE, UE, CPE, CE, DST, DBT, all accreditation, then the focus of change for NAAC, not only cutting down the matrices from 96 to 55 to 40, but then we can capture 10 questions. So NAAC accreditation is very heavy. If you want to change based on NEP, ask 10 questions and capture. Everybody understands the number of institutions across India. Almost started, Dr. Chetan started with the numbers, some 1,200 universities, almost 60,000. So everybody will say I am unique. Churu will say I am unique in Rajasthan. Leh will say I am unique. So we cannot keep on changing the parameters. The thermometer has to say whether the thermometer will capture the temperature of the persons correctly, whether it's normal or having fever is important. So we are trying to put this think tank based on white paper, discussing and trying to come with ease of accreditation. Basically to go ahead with binary. Then what will be the use once we go to binary? A++ is also same. One other policy. Then people on the field ask us, why don't you differentiate? Yes. This is how grading came into picture. Earlier we started with accredited, not accredited. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Sir, coming to you, especially one of the challenges that I mentioned, that is lesser emphasis on research in higher education institutions in general. I'm not talking about the islands of excellence that I flagged. How we enable that ecosystem in higher education institution. Because NEP also envisages this National Research Foundation, autonomic institutions, revisiting the curricular component, and enabling faculty empowerment in all directions. But research is very important. But as in part of the academia, how would you recommend and suggest as the way forward for that?
In terms of NEP, I think what is that they would like to get more research in more research in education institutions. And I think there's also a recommendation that universities have to give more resources, financial resources out to the faculty. I think these are good starting points in my view. But when it comes to implementation, I think it starts from the beginning. The day the kind of process you have in terms of recruiting the faculty.
Yes.
Okay. So my graduate regulatory institutions will talk about reimagining. Right? So I cannot even imagine that how we messed up the CUET this time. This is a new system, and the way they kept whole country waiting for the CUET, I think. That's actually holding all of us back. And again, as a researcher, I would say the UGC care is really a careless kind of system. There are so many journals everywhere, every nook and corner of the country, part of it, but best journals are not there. Okay, so that is I think there are the starting point for us. Rather than after, recruiting, you force the person to do research.
So you pick the route.
Yeah.
Then
so coming back to, I think this is where I think we need to have autonomy.
Yes.
At the higher education institution. So I don't want to follow UGC care list. You should allow that.
Yes. Yeah.
Although UGC says that minimum standard, that ultimate. Now we have been forced to follow that is the standard. It's not the minimum standard. Okay, then there is UGC care.
Do you have any quick suggestions on this? Like, these are the challenges brought out, real challenges on the ground, but any quick suggestions that we could, so we can ponder upon as a way forward.
So that's what I said. I think the institute right now we are getting the NEP implementation. They also need to look at all the C&R rules. So please look at the C&R rules and make it more stringent, and that should be the starting point. And of course, I just forgot to tell you about the industry. We are actually planning to have an incubation center. You don't expect the social sciences to have incubation center, right? But that's all myth.
Yes.
Every subject can have an incubation center where it can actually link with the industry and get public-private partnership there. In fact, we are tying up with some of the private sector so that that incubation center can pick up. So I think that will give more space for research.
Yes.
So I think those are the things that we need to do.
Yes. So Rabindra, while you add to this point, I'll also support with one footnote. On one hand, institutions, higher education institutions are very keen to engage with industry. That's what we all hear, and we are also feeling that we should engage, because by virtue of the board of studies, by virtue of task force that you mentioned, sir, that by representative academic councils, so and so. On the other hand, there is also, we are also not clear as from the academia, and how should we approach the industry, and whether industry will be able to accept us, especially for research. I'm sure you had some other point before I You respond to my question, but you may want to mix both and see whether you want to share the responses.
Oh, thank you. Just previously I mentioned, I will come just to that point. At the end of the day, institute is producing students which industry requires and is to get the job, or you become the entrepreneur and starts your own. So earlier my framework was that is the view from the industry, how we can bridge that gap. It has to be the combination of three circles which I spoke about. Now you spoke about the research and etc. And we discussed internally with many industry, and the thoughts which comes up is that internship is very, very important for students. Internship doing is very, very important. Typically we see that students get engaged for 2, 3, 4 months and he does the project. Maybe the PhD level or faculty done himself kind of getting engaged for the doing research work. But when he is in the certification or diploma or degree or honors he is doing, at that time students needs to be follow a framework of that to build a product, not the project. Moment we get in there doing a project, he does this finish it fish. Somehow how he manages to probably get a score or credit. What it should have been that, and we can probably debate on that, how this framework is that. Students should take up a challenging social problem. This is the first step, where he can, and then he build a team to solve that problem. And the team has to be the multidisciplinary team to work on the product. Then third stage is that he needs to, or the team needs to engage the industry mentor. He needs to engage the industry mentor so that he will enable them, help them to how the, along with the faculty, of course, to develop the product. I'm talking about the product. Then he goes to the multiple iteration, multiple review happens, and at the end of the day he comes up with a kind of some product. Services could be a product. And it's not that physical, but services could be a product. And at the last, he makes the presentation, communication, he releases the report, etc. And this entire framework should be look like a industry driving the projects to build the product. And the last, when he completes it, it depends on the students whether he wants to go the job, he wants to continue the same product to start his own startup, entrepreneur, and can groom it. You find the values in that. And the last point which you talked about, if the product creates a IPR or the patent until he can go for jointly with the institute or the institute and can drive that. So this framework has to be with again three circles: subject, domain, technology, industry, all combined together. This framework needs to be built. If you are able to build it, this is the great expectation from the industry, which we see the bridge and gap. And we say the product development has to happen end to end. End to end means product has to be the study of the market, requirement, problem, what is the market, he does the benchmarking, and then he get into the kind of design, manufacturing, then he get into the CAE validation. It's not limited to the mechanical, all branches. And use the technology of Industry 4.0 and the other aspects to build the entire thing. So he has to go through the entire product life cycle management stages. This is the way wholesome developer. He can take the product from one industry, but he built the framework, Dr. Chetan, it can be applied to any other.
That's good. Because that's also an outcome and output that we are also talking about. Sir, in this context that our both panelists spoke, because we are also talking about shifts in accreditation, reforms in accreditation. For example, now UGC CARE list has become the basis for measuring publication output, for example, and there are also expectations beyond that. The revised NAAC accreditation or the working paper, how does that address some of these concerns that the both panelists were sharing with us? Any thoughts on that? in terms of NEP ready accreditation, that working paper under Professor Bhushan Patwardhan, how do you see that come?
Some of these questions or what you call probes, remarks, metrics is over a period of time, the manual which stood this test of time exists. We asked for IPR. Then we asked the institutions sometimes, have you also organized a kind of a seminar, workshop, symposium, conference, exhibitions? We interchangeably use, everything has its own meaning. Learned people like across, we all understand. But in IPR, we ask, in a standard operating procedure earlier, we asked, it has to be not 10 to 1 morning, the workshop. It can't be 1 day. Like RC, it should be minimum 7 days, 14 days. RC, we talk about 21 days. OP, we talk about 30 days. So you cannot have a program like just have 5 days FDP, 2 days FDP, cannot. So we used to ask. But over a period of time, what we thought, due to the COVID and based on some guidance, we started online and cut short. Now when the revised, supposed to be full-fledged NEP-based accreditation, we have to categorically see the measure of quality based on outcome, whether it is AMU or BHU having around 18 lakh books or Madras University, doesn't matter, or the 5,000 books in a small self-financing colleges, maximum utilization. So this is where we took at the outcome based, not only the input parameters alone. Slowly we were to start working on it. As I said, with the white paper, we have not full-fledgedly gone into the NEP parameters, though we asked the profile of all the manuals, 14 manuals, Sanskrit, Open Universities, we asked on the parameters, including new one, electoral literacy, based on the Election Commission of India as requested, we have put that in the profile, though there is no marks for it. It's a kind of a propagation we are doing.
Yes.
But we are looking at it both at the technology front and social front, as well as integration of industry. We have to, for example, professors from industries are called for 3 years. Everybody is aware of it. Or a potter is called as to be a seasoned potter or a Kathakali, whomever it is, a professor for 3 years. So these are all not inbuilt in them. Now we will slowly have to inbuilt these things into the profile extended and other. Whether to keep the overall framework or change the framework is also okay. There's a thought process which is going on. A lot of feedback has been opened up in the NAAC website to give us already. Karnataka itself, 3 institutions have given feedback. I can name them.
It's still on. So feedback is still open.
On the criteria now, present
they inform the
how
audience.
we will integrate it.
If it is still open, they can inform the audience, is what I'll say. If the feedback is still open, they can inform.
It's very open and
So please make this a opportunity to
we can
give
just
the
go
feedback.
around and carry it back.
Yes. So the revised working paper, or I would say NEP aligned working paper on accreditation is on the NAAC website, seeking your inputs. So I think we should use the occasion to please take it forward and give your inputs. So with this last round of question I had for all the 3, I wish Pradeep sir also joined. It was also very critical because a lot of reforms happening at legislatively in Karnataka, particularly as per NEP. We have the higher education institutions, private higher education institution bill, and the public higher education institution bill as per the NEP's reforms, UECMS and so on. Others, so many reforms are happening. But particularly legislative reforms, these kinds are leading us to enable Board of Governors as a key entity to make decisions at higher education institution level. So leadership and governance becomes a very critical component. So we would like to hear from you on this aspect of leadership and governance. With this NEP, how institutions now should think, rethink, revisit, reimagine, or revisit their leadership. Over to you, sir, for your initial inputs. Okay, we'll start with Rabindra. So maybe you could bring your experience into the higher education institution, and how do you see leadership evolving and governance that is coming through the NEP?
Thank you, Doctor. I missed to say on one previous question. You talked about how industry can support is that.
Yeah.
Just 2 days back, I was in Bihar talking to the secretary, and the right way to help get the technology help is the create a mentors from the institute who has passed out and the senior leaders, because we will always have an attachment to passionately support and come forward. So if one institute at least take passed out, take 15, 20 years of global experience come joins, we need to create that ecosystem. The largest benefit will come. Second, you spoke about the faculty. Yes, we need to get a lot of exposure to our faculty. We need to send industries, understand that kind of technology adoption, how they are adopting it, that will bring values.
So in terms of leadership and governance particularly,
In education.
in higher education institution, from your experience, do you have any suggestions? Because NEP demands that, that for autonomous status for institution, independent board of governors. So leadership and governance becomes very critical to enable this responsibility.
Yes. My thoughts on that is that leadership is very, very important, because he sets the path for the growth. In industry, we see that leadership is not there, that dynamic visibility is not there, it takes in a different direction. We need to have the right set of people. The combination of industry, combination of academia is very, very important. But when we build the leadership framework as an advisor or mentor, he has to come and join as a very passionately. Otherwise, like if you see the FTP, we give the FTP, but it has to be linked with doing something throughout the FTP. Otherwise, it becomes a kind of textual approach, getting a certificate, etc. So really benefit means how we learning we measure after the training is very, very important. Otherwise, 5, 6 or 10 days of effort needs to be really ilful impact. So this sort of combination to build in the leadership, then only it will happen. Transformation will happen.
Sir, would you like to share specifically on governance leadership? Or NEP?
I'll just take a minute. It's a very interesting criteria. People who are sitting here and people online with all the platforms may be aware. With the 10 parameters to 7676 we've been doing. We call it as organization and management, criteria 6. Then we call it as governance and management. Then we call it as governance, leadership and management. Now we all know what we call the 6th criteria. Not rechristening on the name alone. Over a period of time, leadership do matters. And we are very, very philosophically very clear at the grassroots level whether a government college, aided college, government aided college or a self-financing college. In the existing terminology or the pre-existing terminology for a transformation period. Now we talk about only 4. We talk about research intensive, teaching intensive, BRU and autonomy granting, degree granting autonomous college, NEP style 4. Leadership, we have given enough. The philosophy is cascading effect. What we call in NAAC is a newly joined self-financing teacher, ad hoc teacher, or a clock tower basis of Maharashtra, whatever the term across the state we call is a leader. Now, in the context of BOG and EEG of NEP, because more emphasis is given on this top leadership.
Would you like to expand the EEG and BOG for us?
The board of governors of each university and this 4th type in NEP, since we are talking about NEP, and eminent expert group. Both narrative will come because we are just plunged into the water. We'll start slowly swimming and we'll do with course correction, things like that. So whether it is a boards of studies, whether 10 different eminent groups will come, thematic will come, all these questions will be run slowly based on we all understand the political science of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, the KSHEC comes when it comes as law of the land, we understand the feedback and amendments. At NAAC for accreditation, this has to be the major focus because they have to take care of the entire vision under the 10 years, 5 years, whether that college or university, government or private or PPP, whether it will exist or not. That is fundamental. Then you must get students. Then comes research, all are paraphernalia. Then matching happens. When I go to abroad, whether it will be I'll be able to, Singapore will recognize my degree of BA or BCom. or for a homemaker, let her run 10 years after she's an housewife, she wants to work in Melbourne, whether it will be recognized. All this accreditation has to take care. Because we have to work on a mutual recognition framework. That is at the country level, at the policy level, it has to be worked out. So, accreditation now is only a quality assurance that different agencies are utilizing our outcome. Yes. So that BOG and EOEG makes a huge difference. Basically to take care of teachers. At least that is in a simple sense, because everybody looks at that. A government teachers association or DUTA or MUTA, everybody looks at what is going to happen for my, as a basically as a teacher. So the BOG and EEG has to fundamentally take care of the teaching fraternity by and large.
Yes. Yes, sir. So, while you add to that, one special request I have you is to add, in addition to the governance leadership, especially that one, it's sustainability of that leadership in HEIs, because this is what we see in IDP, Institutional Development Plan, that NEP also recommends. Institutions must have NAAC eventually taking that. While we look for reforms, how do we also sustain it? Because IDP is usually 15 years, 10 years, and 5 years. In addition to these points, I would request you to also add that sustainability.
Yeah, I think we have practices available with us. And if you compare institution with Senate and compare the institution with DOT, I'm sure all of us agree that the institution with DOT is much better. And I think that's what the Karnataka government is trying to do.
Yes.
They're trying to bring in DOT concept. And I'm sure that will have a conceptual change in terms of the overall development.
Yes.
So I think we're in the right direction. Just before I give the mic, I just want to say to NAAC, they have been doing great service to the nation in terms of preparing all these things. And in the paper that they have, they should also include the concept of accrediting the accredited. What is the
Concept of accrediting the accredited.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's extremely important.
Okay. So that's interesting. So, Shri Pradeep sir has joined us. Yeah, so I request.
Shri Pradeep P IAS has just joined us. Thank you, Shri Pradeep, for joining us. For the benefit of the audience, I will read out the profile of Mr. Pradeep. Once again, Shri Pradeep is an IAS officer who is currently serving as Commissioner for Department of Collegiate Education, Government of Karnataka. He is a very efficient officer who has involved deeply in the implementation of the NEP 2020 in the state of Karnataka. He is instrumental in bringing many reforms in government colleges in our state. Welcome, Mr. Pradeep, and over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much.
Long set of questions for Mr. Pradeep.
Thank you. Sir, actually it came at the right time also, because we were just talking about governance and leadership in higher education institution. So we had very excellent thoughts coming through all our panelists, ranging from accreditation body to industry, and all of this sharing their experience. So from as policy making point of view and from the point of view of macro level interventions, what do you envisage this changes that we see in higher education reforms, especially leadership and governance? Over to you.
Thank you, Chetan. Sorry for being late. I had to come from HSR almost 1.5 hours ago. So, governance and leadership, I think, is the most important change which is coming at NEP, that with respect to the state universities, or to say public education system, is in the governance and leadership. Most importantly, the way the universities are run in terms of the topmost level, the syndicate and everything is now going to be changed. The NEP emphasizes that the entire governance of an university needs to be completely independent, and it has to be, most importantly, self-perpetuating, similar to the IIM. So there should not be any outside intervention in terms of selecting the top leadership functionaries in a university. I think that is the most important change, transformational change that is being talked about, that is being prescribed in NEP. And Karnataka is at the forefront of implementing this. A Karnataka State Higher Education Institutions Bill has been framed now, which has been done by Collegiate by Dr. V.K. Athre. It was done and report was given to Honorable CM almost 2-3 months back. So now it is in the process of being formulated into a bill. So the most important thing in that is the governance leadership.
Yes, sir. So before I take some couple of questions from the audience, since we wanted to hear from you, we have been talking from the other side, from the institution side, that these are reforms that are coming in, and we also share our concerns and barriers. But as from the other side, that is the implementation side, what are the barriers that you experience and foresee, and how do we respond to those barriers? For institutions, you have any message to those?
The first and foremost barrier, or to say the challenge I see, is the change of mindset. The mindset of all stakeholders, starting from teachers, students, institutions, and everything. And I have attended almost like many conferences since Karnataka was first year to implement NEP in the higher education space. But the main problem I see is that many questions are asked without even reading the NEP document.
Yes.
It's a 62-page document. Many doubts, the answers to many doubts are already there in the NEP document. So that again is a parameter of the mindset change required. There's a mindset change in terms of all three main pillars of education: pedagogy, starting from curriculum, pedagogy, then assessment. So it requires a massive change in each and every aspect of higher education.
Yes. Thank you, sir. I know that we are short of time, but if we are open to any big question, only 2 questions we'll take. Because I still need panelists to share their one final statement. But please identify whom you are asking to. 2 questions. So 1 second, get a mic. Only 1 question to you, sir.
Thank you, Prof. Chetan. My question is to Mr. Pradeep Sir, Commissioner. Myself, Professor Chandrakant Yadnu, Gulbarga University. Sir, fine, we are the pioneer in implementing NEP 2020. Of course, Gulbarga University is also part of this. Already, first batch of students as part of NEP is doing well. But still, there are certain practical difficulties, more particularly regarding UUCMS. I think there could have been little more training or workshop, or instead of implementing little hurriedly, I think we could have waited one more year with a proper planning. So, thank you.
What is your designation in the university? What are you in the university?
I am a professor of political science.
So how do you know that it is being done in hurriedly?
Because teachers are facing little difficulties, and
Teachers?
Sir, one more thing. Because of certain difficulties in implementing UUCMS.
What are the difficulties?
In uploading the students.
Who is uploading students' data?
Students as well as our technical staff. So there are a lot of delay in conducting exams. Teachers are sitting idle without any work. There are some difficulties.
Yeah. Please. So this unified university and college management system is a massive platform wherein all the functionalities of the university are brought together in a single platform. Starting from affiliation, admissions, academic and classroom management, examination, student support, library, finance, HR. The most important objective is to bring in transparency, efficiency and accountability in the overall university functioning. This has been attempted in many states, but nowhere has been implemented successfully because it involves a lot of stakeholders, a lot of coordination, a lot of the complexity of the software is there. This was implemented, the The requirements are taken from the university itself, wherein for each module a subcommittee was formed. It is headed by the university experts. After this, it has been launched. Many times, as I initially pointed out with respect to the NEP, in terms of without understanding or reading the NEP, a lot of issues have been pointed out. As a software, as a platform, initial teething issues will be there in any software, any platform. So initial minor technical difficulties, teething issues. Because when you start implementing, you'll come to know, okay, it was supposed to be done like this, it was not supposed to be done like this. Some issues were there. So that will be resolved day in and day out. It keeps on happening. As a software, it's a dynamic thing. It will happen. It is already happening. Now almost the first semester is done. Now after the initial 1 or 2 months, everything is now smoothened out. Many issues were there because many universities were using their own, still after being instructed that this free software has to be used, when they were using the outside private softwares. For them to come back into the system was a difficulty because it required a lot of software changes. I will just close this with a small note. One single examination module is going to save 100 crores per year. One single examination module is going to save 100 crores per year. This was being spent initially, it was being collected from the students and was going to be a private software vendor. It was almost like outsourcing the entire, outsourcing the majority of examination work to outside agencies. Now, so that is a level of savings that will come in, and also the level of openness and transparency that will come in.
Also the time. Very faster.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I have only one question which has 2 parts. The first part is to start, and the second one is, combined. And second one is to Mr. Pradeep sir. The first part is that how do you see the perspectives of the industries into entering MOU with general universities offering non-technology, non-science courses? And the second part of my question is to Pradeep sir. There will be no affiliation in the years to come. There will be no affiliation system in the years to come. When will this real phasing out of this affiliation system starts in, at least in the state of Karnataka? Yes, sir. Entering into MOU with general universities offering non-science, non-technology courses. How do you see the perspectives? Social sciences, arts, How do you see the perspectives?
No, it's there.
No, but how do you see, what are the perspectives?
My thoughts on that is that we need to build the curriculum in such a way that it becomes a part of that, and that with that you can collaborate with the industry.
You are optimist. You're optimist. Yeah, that's why I'm asking this. Because many of the examples you said were all related to technology. We are offering non-science, non-science courses.
I think that there should be a challenge. We can debate and discuss this off the line.
Second part, the de-affiliation process.
In the prescription that affiliation process has to end, we have to understand the objective behind that. The objective is to provide a complete academic autonomy to any institution, be it a university or a college. The autonomy runs from curriculum creation. It is almost like the autonomy should flow even to the teacher level, wherein a teacher can decide what curriculum has to teach for the semester, what will be the kind of problem statement, case studies, assessment methodology, pedagogy, and everything. So that is not a function of timeline, that is a function of how the institution is ready to take that autonomy. It is about whether that teacher, whether that college, whether that university is ready or has the capability to take on that autonomy. As and when that happens, the autonomy will come.
So we'll take one last question since the going said we'll have 2-3 minutes. So the one last question.
Good evening, Pradeep sir. Namaste. When we want to introduce a multidisciplinary subject in our institution, we have the infrastructure constraints. Not in the physical infrastructure, but in the policy infrastructure constraint. We are talking about the governance, leadership and policy. In the policy they frame that inside the city there should be half acre of land. When the old institution they want to start multidisciplinary subject, how you this constraint will be solved in the policy matter. In NEP, you Prime Minister or Honorable Prime Minister is talking about easy doing business for startup. This is one thing I want to highlight the policy matters. Thank you, sir.
I would again say it is a misplaced understanding about multidisciplinarity. It doesn't mean every college has to offer everything. Today, for example, there is a medical college. You don't want to ask engineering in that college. It is about offering, for example, a particular college may offer, it may be an arts, science and commerce college, it may offer, for example, in some financial field, accounting, it may offer that subject. So wherever the subject is available, student will go and take in that. If that college doesn't offer, wherever it offers, student can go and take that. There are hundreds of thousands of subjects which can be offered. So it is not desirable or to say that every college has to offer all multidisciplinary subjects. And the part you are saying that off-an-acre issue, actually the UGC prescribed guideline for minimum land area in a metropolitan city is 1.5 acres. That, keeping in mind the practicality of that, Karnataka has reduced it to 0.5 acres. That is one part. Before that, I would like to tell that when colleges came for affiliation to Honorable Minister, we had to see that it was running in a 30-40 building rented, only second floor. The ground floor was a wine shop, second floor was a college. So such was the infrastructure state. Now, again, earlier the system was completely manual. We didn't, for getting an affiliation, we are not even getting the basic information in that. Now it has been made completely online affiliation for the past 2 years. Every college, every information flows with respect to what is the number of teachers they have, what is the number of rooms they have, what is the number of toilets they have, what is the area they have. So that transparency has come in, and some basic land area, some basic building requirement has to be there to start any college.
Thank you, sir. I think I would request Prof. Bhanumurthy officer because a specialized higher education institution is also easily
as Pradeep said, this is a displaced field actually. I mean, you can easily implement multidisciplinarity. In fact, although we are an economics subject university, we have introduced sociology, psychology as open electives,
and law also.
and we have, of course, we have the advantage of law school opposite to us, so we have a lot of economics also happening there. In fact, our faculty are going there teaching economics, and we already had an MOU with the law school. So, I mean, again, I keep telling that NEP is the most flexible document. So, I don't think you need to really get constrained with brick and mortar. That's my
So, yes, sir.
It is not a multidisciplinary one. It is an interdisciplinary course in a multidisciplinary institution, like material science, like biological science, like social science. In a multidisciplinary institution, where a combination of science subjects and art subjects can be offered. That is what he meant, I understood. Otherwise, it is anyway a multidisciplinary program. We are just given a candidate history or economics or physics or mathematics, you will be taking other subjects. It will be anyway multidisciplinary. What we have to introduce is interdisciplinary because any solution of any problem involves multidisciplinary approach. We have to have interdisciplinary programs like material science, etc. That's what I have understood.
Thank you.
One more thing to add in this, the one NEP prescription that 40% of the credits can be earned through online courses. If that is utilized properly, then that can increase the capability of every institution to offer a lot of subjects manifold. That is one prescription of NEP which is really good, and maybe its time has come now, given that after the pandemic, a lot of online learning is now being accepted and a lot of effective courses are also being done.
So, I will now come to the last part of the panel discussion because I think we've had
For road ahead for implementation, each institution should prepare the faculty. Very important is the faculty, the backbone. Though we believe in student-centric learning, the faculty to adopt and adapt for the transformation. Again, to quote Kurt Lewin, I said, if you want to understand something, change. Unquote. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I already spoken many times. I stick to my word.
Yes.
So NEP is flexible. Let us argue with flexible.
So I'm also always a delivery guy, so I take it to the execution, what is the content and project is that. So just I summarize that, we need to have a product mindset of developing in the framework of internship end to end. Second is that it should be a combination of three circles you talked about: domain, digital engineering, technology, industry 4.0. With that framework, we need to bring the content which will create our industry ready engineers.
Change is the only constant, so please have an open mind, and I feel that NEP's idea was time has come.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chetan. Well, I will have the task of summarizing the panel discussion, but in one sentence, I would just say, have an open mindset, and NEP is to bring about flexibility with multiple exits and entries. So, thank you all the panelists for sharing your views. And the last point is adopt and adapt. So, all of us have witnessed in the last half an hour excellent deliberations from practicing academicians and industry experts. Thank you all the four panelists, and Dr. Pradeep, thank you so much for joining us, although a bit late, but sharing thought-provoking ideas and insights from your implementation of the NEP. Thank you, audience, for asking those excellent questions. I have the task of felicitating the panelists with sampling and mementos. May I request Wing Commander Rabindra Sah, Treasurer of SES, to kindly come forward along with Ms. Bhanumurthy.